Hello everyone, Joel here. 2026 is turning out to be an absolutely massive feast for us RPG sickos. Today we're diving into 20 new indie turn-based RPGs you absolutely need to play in 2026. From tactical grid battles where you miss a 99% shot, to bizarre tabletop-inspired political mysteries, we have it all. Kicking things off, we dive headfirst into a miserable dystopian dark fantasy. If you've ever played Fear and Hunger and thought, I need more trauma in my pixel art games, this one is tailored specifically for you. The hardcore tactical combat system literally lets you chop off limbs and knock off enemy armor. It's brutal, folks. You play as a survivor navigating creepy rituals and mutated machinery where every single bandage or arrow counts. The story is highly non-linear, meaning your companions might save your bacon or betray you for a moldy piece of bread. It's unforgiving, but the eerie pixel graphics and nightmare-inducing soundtrack make this 2026 release completely unforgettable. Transitioning from dark fantasy to the cold vacuum of space, let's talk about this isometric sci-fi RPG that wears its Fallout and Knights of the Old Republic inspirations on its space sleeves. You crash land on a desolate planet and basically have to build a stronghold to stick it to a tyrannical mega corporation called Star Frontier. Combat-wise, you've got those classic AP mechanics, though I highly recommend maxing out your intelligence stat so you can just spam actions and break the game. By the way, the developers recently dropped a patch fixing a hilarious bug where using computer skills completely broke the main quest line.
Not one step back. Guides my hand.
Next up is something for the tabletop nerds out there. This title takes a legendary dungeon-crawling board game universe and translates it into a digital co-op tactical RPG. It just launched in early June 2026, and it's the perfect bite-sized dungeon crawler for when your real-life D&D group inevitably cancels on you. You can grab 3 friends and explore 20 highly replayable dungeons. While the narrative is a bit on the lighter side, so don't expect a million lines of deep lore, the party synergies and turn-based combat absolutely sing. Be wary of the multiplayer performance though, since it can be a bit annoying at times.
Terrinoth!
Moving right along, we have the ultimate "it's been 84 years" meme of the gaming community. After sitting in early access since 2016, this sci-fi behemoth finally reached its massive 1.0 release in March of 2026. It's an incredibly ambitious game boasting over 160,000 solar systems. You build a squad of space mercenaries, upgrade your ship, and engage in deeply strategic turn-based ground battles against mutants and space pirates. The beauty here is the classless character progression featuring over 240 perks, letting you build the most broken bounty hunters imaginable. It's got that nostalgic, old-school chunky RPG feel, and honestly, seeing it finally cross the finish line is a massive win for indie dev dedication. Now, if you want something a bit more vibrant, let me introduce you to this stunning sci-fantasy adventure built in Unreal Engine 5. It basically looks at Persona and the Trail series and says, yeah, let's do all of that. The elemental break system provides some incredibly crisp strategic turn-based combat where you can seamlessly swap between your 7 party members without wasting a turn. But let's be real, you're here for the social links and base building. With over 15 romance options, alongside farming, fishing, and cooking mini-games, you'll probably forget about the main quest entirely while decorating your canteen. It's shaping up to be a massive time sink in the best way possible. Before we go into the list, I want to give you my recommendation for some of the best deals in instant gaming right now, especially if you're tight on budget. We knew that instant gaming always give us so many crazy deals for your favorite games, like these titles for example. I mean, can you believe these prices? If you love RPGs, there's no way you never heard of these masterpieces, and to think that you can get them under $10 or even $5, it's an absolute steal. All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games and use the activation code on your chosen platform. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. On the flip side, we have an experience that strips away the massive parties and focuses purely on tense 1v1 turn-based duels. Coming out later in 2026 from Cinderpit Studios, this game is forged in fire, steel, and a gorgeous comic book art style. You're trapped in a cursed land experiencing eternal night, and combat is all about spacing, initiative, and parrying. It almost feels like a turn-based fighting game where breaking your opponent's poise is the key to delivering a fatal blow. You build your character using artifacts found in dungeons, meaning your playstyle is entirely defined by your loadout. It's incredibly unique and perfect for players who love high-stakes, mind-game-heavy combat. Taking a hard left turn into biohorror, we've got this retro gem. Playing as psionic agent Nova, you're investigating an abandoned island city filled with fleshy abominations. This game brilliantly utilizes a retro PS1 style aesthetic complete with CRT filters to give you that nostalgic late 90s survival horror vibe. But the real star of the show is the active time chain system, which is basically an evolution of the classic ATB gauge, where you time your attacks across a 3-segment chain to unleash devastating combos while dodging enemy hits. Fun fact, they actually had to remove DLSS support in an early 2026 patch because it was breaking their custom rendering system. Embrace the retro indie charm, my friends. Speaking of gorgeous aesthetics, this upcoming title by Artisan Studios is visually breathtaking. Partnering up with publisher Quali, they are bringing us this action JRPG featuring illustrations by Takeshi Oga and a soundtrack by the legendary Hitoshi Sakimoto. The premise is wild. On the planet Era, citizens are bound to one of the 7 deadly sins at birth. You follow twin brothers, one bound to all 7 sins and the other born completely sinless. The combat is this hybrid phase system that flawlessly balances real-time action with tactical turn-based commands. We've been seeing it gain serious momentum, and it's easily one of the most highly anticipated RPG drops for the back half of 2026. Keeping the JRPG hype train rolling, this next entry is a love letter to 90s classics that just made a huge splash at the 6-1 Indie Showcase in May 2026. You play as Ezekiel Redan, a young priest dealing with a massive crisis of faith while gods and demons wage war. The visual presentation is a seamless blend of elaborate 2D pixel art characters roaming around beautifully modeled 3D environments. Combat-wise, it mixes real-time movement with turn-based attacks, allowing you to string together some genuinely filthy combos. Oh, and did I mention the soundtrack features Motoi Sakuraba? Yeah, the music alone is going to absolutely carry your soul to the subterranean city of Antioch. Imagine Disco Elysium, but heavily inspired by Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and you play as a gloriously incompetent government cleric. It just launched under Raw Fury, and it is a masterpiece of political conspiracy and bizarre humor. Instead of typical combat, you resolve conflicts by rolling a 20-sided die and arguing with the inner voices of your 6 major attributes inside a beautiful vertical dialogue box. Exploring the fantasy city of Norvik alongside your goblin sidekick to solve a tea shop explosion is easily the funniest RPG experience of 2026. The writing is phenomenal, so be prepared to fail a charisma check and embarrass yourself in front of a drunk sphinx.
An age when Greek gods to walk.
Next up, we're looking at Legacy of Pandora, a monster taming roguelike inspired by Greek mythology. You'll play as Pyrrha, Pandora's daughter, trying to clean up the mess after the 8 evils escape from Pandora's box. Along the way, you'll capture and battle creatures called cacodemons. Don't expect a traditional Pokemon-style progression system. There's no traditional leveling system here. Instead, your monsters evolve through a unique mechanic called corruption, and the choices you make throughout your journey directly influence what they become. Forget the wholesome, friendship-powered vibes of most monster taming games. Legacy of Pandora dives headfirst into dark fantasy. That starter monster who's been by your side since the tutorial, you can literally sacrifice it to the gods in exchange for powerful evil points. Because friendship is great, but forbidden power is often more effective. You'll also run into moral events where you can choose to be a hero, a terrible person, or something in between. And some of the consequences can get pretty dark. A lot of the darkest moments happen in battle. When you defeat and kill an NPC's cacodemon, its owner can lose the emotion tied to that creature. For example, if a cacodemon carrying the evil of hope is destroyed, its master may lose their hope entirely. That's how every choice matters here. One battle might not just change your run, it could completely change an NPC's life and the future of their family. Combat is also much deeper than simple elemental matchups. You'll constantly be switching monsters, stacking status effects, and building synergies. Bleeding, poison, corruption, and trading with Olympian gods for cursed blessings, you've got plenty of ways to ruin someone's day. Smart planning is rewarded. If you don't think ahead, the game will absolutely punish you for it. After the recent Steam Next Fest, you've probably seen more than enough games relying on AI-generated content. That's one of the reasons Legacy of Pandora stands out. Every piece of art, writing, and design in the game was created by actual humans. Their public playtest is live right now on Steam. You can request access and jump in. And if the game looks like something you'd enjoy, go check out their Kickstarter page and hit Notify Me on launch. They're a tiny indie studio trying to get their first game off the ground, so any support or feedback you can give them really means a lot. Now go build your dream cacodemon team and then decide which one you're willing to sacrifice first. For all the hardcore dungeon crawling sickos out there, this game is here to break your sanity. Set in 2070, you're investigating a strange signal on a lunar mining base. It heavily channels wizardry and Shin Megami Tensei, throwing you into intense first-person grid-based exploration. The standout mechanic is the stability system. The longer you explore the moon's depths, the more reality warps, spawning insanely difficult glitched enemies but offering massive rewards if you survive. They actually just showed off a localized Japanese build at Bit Summit recently, and the buzz is real. Just remember to pack some extra healing items because the moon does not care about your feelings. This brutal gladiator sim just saw its massive 1.0 release in April 2026, and it's giving us major swords and sandals nostalgia, but with a much darker, grittier edge. You're running a rundown gladiator school, a ludus, meaning you have to manage the brutal economics of your business while training fighters. The turn-based combat is super intense. Any gladiator can use any piece of armor or weapon, allowing for some truly unhinged character builds. Do you want a heavily armored tank wielding a tiny dagger? Go for it. You'll be micromanaging stats, fighting in the arenas, and screaming at your screen when your star gladiator misses a crucial swing and gets sent to the Shadow Realm. Now hold on to your hats because this project is doing the impossible. This is a completely free-to-play turn-based RPG crossover featuring heroes and villains from over 17 different indie JRPGs. We are talking about characters from Chained Echoes, 8-Bit Adventures 2, and Jack Move all teaming up on a dead world. Critical Games and Electric Airship really cooked with this one. You get to manage a party of 9 heroes in stylish combat. And to make things even crazier, they recently announced that Leah from Crosscode and characters from Cosmic Star Heroine are showing up as guest super bosses. It's basically the Super Smash Bros of indie RPGs, and you literally have zero excuses not to play it. shifting gears to another banger that just dropped in May 2026. This monster taming RPG is heavily inspired by Pokemon, but injected with the narrative depth of Xenoblade. You play as an amnesiac cyborg named Trey, who tosses around a holocan to catch creatures called Animon. With over 140 beautifully designed Animons spanning 13 elemental types, the 4 vs 4 team battles get surprisingly sweaty. Team 17 published this one, and the vibrant 2.5D HD art style looks like pure candy for your eyes. You even get a customizable pocket dimension called the Annie Space to chill with your team. It's cozy, deeply strategic, and a must-play if you want to be the very best like no one ever was. Next is something wonderfully out of left field. Released back in April under Annapurna Interactive, this is literally a turn-based RPG musical. You join Cadence, a pop singer, on a quest for stardom, recruiting musicians into her ensemble. Every single battle is an interactive musical performance. You have to time your attacks to the beat of the music, and combat conditions evolve dynamically based on the genre-bending mashup tracks playing in the background. It is bursting with music theory jokes and incredible cinematic sequences. It's like taking the rhythm mechanics of classic Mario RPGs and injecting them into a Broadway show.
Damn it!
If you are still craving that paper-thin hero itch, this delightful title released earlier this year in January and totally nailed it. You play as Flint Buckler, a fairy-tale hero who finds out his arch-enemy's castle has been converted into a corporate office by a real-world megacorp called Ever After Inc. You actually have to get an office job to take them down from the inside. The satire of capitalism mixed with classic fairy-tale tropes is hilarious. The turn-based combat relies heavily on perfectly timed action commands, and exploring the pop-up book environments with your quirky co-workers is an absolute joy. For those who want a massive, seamless 2D open world, this sequel has been absolutely dominating the scene. It brings you back into a dark medieval fantasy where you become a vampire right out of the gate. The turn-based combat requires incredibly tactical use of your HP and FP potions since enemies hit like an absolute truck. They just dropped a huge Abyssal Dungeons update in May 2026, introducing insane new loot rerolls and set items, which has the community grinding non-stop. Add in the Day 1 PvP mode, and you've got a recipe for an incredibly addictive tactical RPG that respects your time while punishing your mistake. Mixing things up again, this gem recently launched in May 2026, and it's a brilliant fusion of retro PS1 survival horror and XCOM-style turn-based tactics. You play as a mercenary doing extraction missions in a quarantine, zombie-infested city. There are no massive squads here. It's a solo operative deployment where inventory management and stealth are just as important as shooting. The grid-snapping traversal in low-poly, dimly lit hallways creates this suffocating atmosphere where taking a single wrong step means getting completely swarmed. If you love tense resource management and screaming internally while trying to extract with your hard-earned credits, this tactical horror gem is an absolute triumph.
What fate awaits your past?
Finally, rounding out our epic list is a highly anticipated masterpiece. Heavily inspired by Chrono Trigger, this era-spanning RPG from Rio Games looks absolutely stunning in Unreal Engine 5. You'll be traveling from the prehistoric dinosaur age all the way to a cyberpunk future, recruiting charismatic heroes to rebuild the Order of the Time Knights. The developers just showed off a breathtaking new look at Day of the Devs in June 2026, showcasing visually dynamic team combos where you literally bend time to unravel enemy defenses. While the community jokes about it being on our wishlist forever, the sheer quality of the pixel art and time manipulation combat tells us it is absolutely going to be worth the wait.